I just made my last credit card payment, and as much as it pained me to pay all that money, I'm officially out of consumer debt. No more consumer debt, just student loans, and we'll see if those ever get paid. But celebrate with me, y'all. No more consumer debt. And I know y'all have been on this journey with me. If you've been following me, I give brief updates, but it's official. No more consumer debt, no more credit card debt, Afterpay, Klarna. Well, I never had any of those, but none of it. We're free.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
Living debt-free or almost debt-free is fantastic, and I have a rule that a lot of people might not think would be a rule for debt-free living and how to get out of debt. And that rule is forget societal expectations. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. It's just breaking you. I do not need to have the best and biggest house. I do not have to have the best and biggest car. I do not have to have the fanciest clothes, the purses, the makeup, the jewels, nothing. You know what? Because that doesn't define who I am as a person internally. It doesn't make me happy, and it's just keeping up with things that they don't matter. All of those flashy things do not matter. Birthdays and Christmases and Easters, I don't gift a lot to my kid because those are just societal expectations for absolutely no reason, honestly, and probably makes a lot of kids spoiled. Live within your means and your happiness. I am happy not having all of the things, and guess what? I don't spend money on all of the things because I don't need them. I don't need to keep up with anybody or anything. I don't need to press anybody. So stop living above your means for other people and what other people perceive of you, and do it for yourself.
I'm 28 years old and completely debt-free. Well, apart from a house mortgage. Here are my secrets. No credit cards. No afterpay. If I do not have the money to pay for something, it means I can't afford it. If I do not have enough money to pay for something in full, in my mind, that means I cannot afford it. And I personally would rather save up for something and buy it in full than use afterpay or have a loan. I live within my means. So that means I try to stick to a budget and again, not buy things that I genuinely cannot afford. I live your pretty average lifestyle. I work part-time, earn a pretty average wage. I've got a second-hand car that I paid off in full. Zero debt owing to that car. I absolutely hate debt. I think I find debt really triggering because I grew up with parents that were in massive amounts of debt. I honestly don't think financial stress is talked about enough. The stress of money in general, not knowing if you'll be able to afford a bill, afford your rent or your mortgage. But that's not to say that you can't go out and get a new car. You can't go out and enjoy new things if it comes at the cost of debt. It's up to you to decide whether it's worth it or not.
I ain't going broke for nobody. I know how to live inside my means. I know what I can and cannot afford. I'm not going broke for nobody. I'm not washing nobody else's pocket. I'm not doing any of that. I don't want to even be in debt. So right now, my mindset is totally different from what the world society tells you. Oh, well, you make it look good. Fake it till you I ain't faking nothing. If I ain't got it, I ain't got it. And I ain't trying to go out and try to hustle for it either. Like, I wish people understand between a true hustle and just burning yourself out constantly. I'm not always going to be on the go thinking about how I can make more and more money. My soul matters so much more. I understand that so many people have that hustle mentality, but they're going to burn you out. Like, yes, set your goals, have ambitions. Don't ever settle. But at the same time, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm living within inside of my means. The goal is to be debt free. I don't want debt at all. Call me crazy, call me weird, call me whatever. Yes, I wear hand-me-downs from the Goodwill. Do I still buy nice things? Yes, I do. Do my kids wear nice things? Yes, they do. The thing about me is I'm never too good, and I feel that in my heart and my bone and my soul. I would never be too good, y'all. I'm a human just like anybody else. I would never, ever feel like I'm above the next person. I don't care if I am maybe got more status or income or whatever the case might be. I'm still going to treat that person the same respectful way as I would like to be treated. I'm sorry, y'all. Do it the rent, but I live inside my means, not above my means, for a very good reason. You won't catch me going broke trying to prove something to a society that don't even love or care about themselves. Live with inside your means.
I'm about to piss some people off, but I'm really proud of myself, so bear with me, because I know a lot of y'all haven't gotten y'all's taxes yet, but I got my taxes yesterday. If you don't know, hi, I'm Dominique. I am a single mom of 3. When I left my ex-husband like a year and a half ago now, I left with nothing. Like, I had no money. Like, I legitimately had no money. My mom bought my plane tickets to come to Florida. His mom gave me $100, and that was it. That is all I had. I immediately got a job, which I documented here on TikTok, and I was making, I think, like $500 every week, which is something. I qualified for food stamps, which helps me at least be able to provide food for my kids, and I was really happy about it. I documented all of this, but that wasn't enough to survive. Like, that really wasn't enough at all, and I knew, like, only making $2,000 a month, I wouldn't be able to live on my own or, like, anything, and then I got fired from that job, and I started working at a daycare, and after I had to pay Eden's tuition at the daycare, I was only bringing home, like, $300 a week, so that was hard. I started having to supplement with a credit card. And then a credit card turned into 2, and then 2 turned into 3, and then I'm asking my mom for money. And then I got a car payment, and my car got totaled the end of last year, and I didn't get gap insurance because that would have cost way more money to add on. My car got totaled. I then still owed $3,000 on that vehicle. So then I was back in a coupe, and I didn't mind my coupe, but driving a coupe with 3 kids in the back, I couldn't do that. So then I was like trying to get a car, but then I got accepted to move out of my mom's house. And then I'm like, do I move out of my mom's house or do I pay off this loan? Like, what do I do? So I just had faith that God would provide a way. So I got the house or the home that I live in now. And then I got this car, and then this car payment would have been due the same day my last car payment would have been due. So it's like, I either have to pay off $3,000 somehow after I just spent money moving out plus all the medical expenses I had, or I'm going to have to pay over $700 for my current car and the car I no longer own. But God is so good. He is so good. And he, through my taxes, provided enough money for me to not only clear off all of the debt that I had, but still, whoa, getting a little emotional, still had money to put in my savings. So the $3,000 owed on my car, gone. The 3 maxed out credit cards, gone. The money I owed my mom, gone. The last payment just cleared my bank, and I am just so happy. I'm finally in a position. When I left, I didn't know how I was going to do it. And then coming here, I was like, I'm struggling. Like, I don't think I can do this. And to be in a position where I have my own home, I have a beautiful car, my children are healthy, we're all doing well, I have no debt, and now all the money I bring in, now I work a job where I'm making what I was making in a day. Like, I make really good money now. And I'm able to save. I have money to save. I can start investing. I can start looking, like, I can start bettering my future for my children. A few days ago, I talked about walking with faith, and that is all I've done the last year and a half, is walk with faith. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I have trusted that God will let it work out, and it has worked out. Oh, and I don't have any freaking debt outside of this car, but I don't consider, like, car loans debt for some reason. I don't know, maybe that's, like, my toxic trait.
I did it, y'all. I did it. I just made my last credit card payment. I'm not gonna cry on the internet. Y'all not gonna get me. I paid off almost $13,000 in credit card debt that I accumulated over the 2 years that I was an entrepreneur and just trying to, make my way in private practice and in speaking and all of these different things. And I just feel like a weight has been lifted off of me. The person that I became, having acquired that debt, was filled with shame. I was so angry at myself for allowing things to get so out of control, especially as somebody who has always been financially responsible. I didn't even tell anybody, because one thing about it, shame will make you hide. Shame will make you feel like, you're the worst person in the world. And I literally felt like, how could I do this to myself? I felt depressed. At the time, I was going through something else as well once it got to a peak back in January. And I'm just so grateful for the journey and who I feel like I am now, like the freedom that I feel, not because I'm out of debt, quote unquote, but because I realize, like, you can be resilient. Everything is not the end of the world. As somebody who has and wrestles with anxiety, everything can feel like the end of the world. I thought that I was like, this debt was going to take me out, y'all. I thought I was going to have to just allow myself to be the person that just is in perpetual debt. And I realized, like, God opened my eyes to show me, like, not only do you have options, and by the way, I just want to be clear that paying off debt in 7 months is not something that I know everybody can do. I know that I have certain privileges that have allowed me to get to this space, but it's not impossible. So especially if you are a clinician or if you are a social worker, there are avenues for you to make extra money and things like that. So if y'all want me to do a story time on that, then let me know, and I will talk about, for me, what worked as far as getting out of debt and certain strategies that I used. Nothing that's new. I'm not no financial expert or nothing like that, but y'all, I can't believe that it's over. I can't believe it's over, and I just feel like I have a new, fresh start on life. And again, to some of y'all, this may not be a lot, but to me, it's everything, because all I have in this world is me. And I always want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself in the best way, and that I'm building a sense of trust. And as somebody who talks about healing and wholeness so much, feeling financially broken, especially, I have a lot of financial trauma growing up. So for me, this hit at a wound. I was perpetually hitting at a wound every time I paid my credit card bill, to the point where I would pay and like cover the top part of the screen so I could just hurry up and pay it. Like, I felt so broken by this. I felt so triggered by having this weight on my shoulders. But in some ways, like, it also healed me to show me, like, money is just a thing. Like, money is not this all-knowing, omnipotent object that you have to beg for. Like, money is just a thing that exists. It's a resource that exists that you can have access to. So anyways, I don't want to get preachy, but I'm proud of myself. I am proud of myself. And without God's grace, I couldn't have done it. But without my desire and audacity to be willing to make myself uncomfortable for 7 months, y'all, I have been through hell. Like, I don't want this video to be too long, but I have been through hell trying to pay off this debt. I lost relationships trying to pay off this debt. I've had to say no to things. I've had to miss out on things. Y'all, I ain't been to a concert all year. I went on one vacation and I barely could do that, right? Like, I did that with fear and trembling for my birthday. Like, I've missed out on so much because of me trying to pay off this debt, and I'm proud of myself. And so y'all be proud of me too. I remember, like, last year or 2 years ago, I made a video on this very same platform talking about how I was scared to buy a laptop that I needed to do my job, and now I've been able to pay off almost $13,000 in debt. So to God be the glory, and to me be a pat on the back.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
I have officially paid off $20,000 in 10 months. And the number one question I get every single time I talk about it is, how did I do it? How did you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you do it? I'm gonna tell you. Number one, I moved home. I moved back home. I am lucky enough to have parents who own their home. It's my childhood home. My childhood bedroom was still there. They welcomed me back with open arms. I know that that's not the situation for everyone, but that's my situation. I took advantage of it. I completely reallocated my rent budget to paying off my debt. So I used to pay about $1,800 in rent, utilities, fees, parking, all of that. I don't have to dig into my fund budget. I can continue to do everything else I was doing. I just had to live at home. The second thing that I did was I came up with a pay schedule. Every single time I get paid, I will pay half of all of my bills. At 7 o'clock every other Wednesday, I was paying the $1,000 to my Capital One bill every single time, period. Even if it's still pending, I don't care. I want everything settled by Friday so that I can go into the weekend knowing exactly how much is in it, and I don't have to worry about anything going crazy. And that was just the easiest way for me. That's the way that my brain works. That just made the most sense for me. The next thing that I did was I got balance transfers. We'll do a whole video on balance transfers actually, but basically I had zero interest for basically my whole debt payoff cycle. The next thing that I did, which is actually probably one of the most important things that I did, I created 2 emergency funds. So I always had an emergency fund, and I keep about 3 months of emergency bills in it. So that's like my baseline bills. That's rent, utilities, car payments, car insurance, period. Everything else I can figure out. But I always keep 3 months of my baseline bills in a high yield savings account. So instead of putting my money into my high yield savings account, I put it into a first line of defense fund. That's what I called it. So basically a first line of defense fund was an emergency fund. so that I didn't have to worry about touching my actual emergency fund. And I saved up about $2,000 and I left it in a savings account that was attached to my checking account so that if I needed money quickly, I could easily move it over. Anything basically that happened where I needed extra money that I did not budget for, I took it out of my first line of defense fund so that I wouldn't have to dip into my emergency fund. The two most important parts of this whole thing is making sure that you have a plan and you have a routine and the first line of defense fund, because once you start dipping into that savings account, you're fucked. It's gonna go away. I didn't have to worry about going back into debt when emergencies happened, and I didn't have to worry about taking away from the progress that I had already made in my emergency fund. Yeah, hopefully that helped. Thank you for watching. Bye.
It is just one of the best feelings in the world. Right now, I don't have any credit card debt whatsoever, and it's amazing. And if I use it, I pay it off right away. Now I am earning a lot of points. I hope that I can get a free trip by the end of the year using points. That is the goal. But having debt really screws you over. The stress, the shame, the huge weight on you, like, it is just a lot, honestly. Still have those student loans, but for credit cards,
Hey girlies, I'm Vivian. I'm 26, and one of the things I love to do most is share my life experiences and the lessons I've learned, because I feel like so many people are going through the same things, but we're always ashamed to ask for help or to learn how people did things. And what I'm going to share with you is something that I have been really ashamed and embarrassed of for a really long time, but my mindset has shifted. So what I want to tell and share is that as of last week, I paid off $13,500 in credit card debt in 6 months. That's right, $13,500. And we can talk about how I got there another time. One of the ways that I was able to pay that down was through debt consolidation. So my credit card debt was spread through multiple credit cards. So I found a balance transfer, a transfer balance option offer where it was 0% APR for 15 months if I transferred my balance over onto one card, because interest rates are so high right now that even if you were starting to pay off your credit card and your interest rate was about 25%, it's going to take forever to get that debt down to zero. I want to say that if you find yourself in this situation, even with debt that is less than mine or more than mine, I know it's something that can just weigh so heavily on your heart. So I just want to say it's going to be okay, and that if there's a will, there's a way, and we can figure something out with a plan and discipline, and we're going to make it through just like I did.
I really don't like talking about money or finances on social media because to each its own. But I always see a lot of videos of people paying off their debt, and I always read the comments, and of course there's people like, oh my God, I need to get like you. Please drop more videos on how you did it, blase, blase. But I don't hear a lot of people talking about how to know if you should pay off all of your debt at once. And obviously, who doesn't want to be debt free? And this is coming from someone who is debt free. I have over an 800 credit score. So this is coming from someone who has paid off their debt multiple times, actually. But I think people need to look at the whole picture. We are in an economic crisis right now. We are in a time where things are more expensive than they ever have been. Jobs are not hiring people, and jobs are laying off people more than ever. And I need people to look at their debts, their assets, and their liabilities, okay? When you are looking to pay off your debt, you need to sit down and be really realistic with yourself. If you were to pay off all your debt, let's say your debt was $10,000. If you were to pay off all your debt right now, give them all your $10,000, and you were to get laid off that next day, wouldn't you still want that $10,000 to be able to hold you over until you find a new job? Something to supplement your unemployment, because we all know unemployment doesn't pay that much. So now, yes, you are debt free, but you don't have any liquid cash to get your hands on. I think when people start to talk about debt and honestly investing, both ends of the spectrum, people need to look at, okay, if I have a rainy day tomorrow, will I be able to get my hands on liquid cash? It is so good to be able to say, yes, I am debt free, scream it from the rooftop. But we have to be realistic. Sometimes it is not for everyone to pay off all their debt right away. I'm not saying that over time you shouldn't work towards being debt free. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you need to sit down and look at your finances in totality and say, is this the right time for me to really hone in on paying off all my debt? And if that is not you, it is okay each month to simply pay over the minimum, because you never want to pay just the minimum, because that interest is going to eat you up, and just not charge anymore. That's the missing piece. People are like paying off their debt while still charging, like still putting stuff on their credit card. And then it's just like, I just wish people would talk about that full picture, because I don't always think it's super smart to pay off all your debt right away. I just don't. Especially if you are someone who is single, who's totally financially supports themselves. And if stuff was to hit the fan, you would need to get your hand on liquid cash right away. I just don't think paying off all your debt in full is always the smartest idea.
I am completely debt-free. I have paid off all my student loans, and I wanted to give y'all a couple tips that I use to help me get here, because I know it can be a little daunting sometimes. So just to start this off, I want to say that I came from a very lower middle class background. My parents could not help me literally with anything when it came to school. And then secondly, I had the money to pay off my loans before the interest started accruing after the pause, but I didn't, because I was investing money and waiting. Mind you, I was still in school at this time. So you can do this without making a lot of money. I make way more money now than I did before, because I was working random odd jobs, but it's very much possible. Number one, most importantly, you need to be budgeting. If you don't know where your money is going, what are you doing? You're confused, you're lost. I have a template that I had been using, and I think that it really was beneficial. You need to know exactly where every single dollar and cent goes every month to make sure that you're allocating them properly. Secondly, you just need to be in the aggressive saver mindset. So for example, when I was in college, sometimes I would say, okay, I have $50 for the week. That's all is getting spent. I'm not buying any cookout. I'm not going out to dinner with my friends. I'm so sorry, y'all. This $50 is gonna be spent on gas, and I don't know, I might need some deodorant that week. That's it. And on top of that, this is more like advice for women, but every time I was dating a guy and he would give me some money, whatever he gave me the money for, I would save it. I was not spending it, because I had a plan. And I said, okay, I need to pay this off. I can go more in depth if y'all want me to, but I think that those are really the main pushers to being able to pay that debt off.
The 5 things my husband and I did to pay off $50,000 of credit card debt in 1 year. The first thing was to identify and address our behaviors that led us to getting into debt in the first place. My husband and I had been living in this cycle of getting in debt, getting out of debt for our entire relationship, and we knew we wanted to totally annihilate the debt once and for all. And so we needed to identify what was causing us to get into this cycle of debt so that we could figure out how to get out. We realized that we had some communication issues in our relationship, and that was our number 2 item, that we really focused on communicating where we are financially, what our goals were, and we are constantly talking about our budget, our debt, and our goals as a family. Number 3 was to create and hold ourselves accountable to a $0 budget, meaning every dollar that comes into our accounts was budgeted for and was planned for, and we monitored all of our accounts daily to make sure that our budget was being upheld. Number 4 was realizing that while yes, we could afford the debt payment, we wanted to get out of debt as soon as possible. And instead of just making the minimums, we throw every penny at debt immediately. And that has been our focus. We didn't want to hold on to this debt for many, many years. We wanted to get all of the debt paid off as soon as possible so that we could achieve our financial goals for our family. Number 5 was to increase our income by taking on side hustles. My husband and I are very lucky to have really great paying corporate jobs that we're very secure in, but we knew that if we really wanted to tackle this debt head on, we needed to take on side hustles. Pet sitting on Rover to make extra income and also doing UGC deals. And my husband has been selling some of his sports memorabilia and running a little side business for himself to bring in extra income for our family.
Your journey to getting out of debt does not have to be miserable. Let me tell you how. I'm Brianna, and I share my 2 cents on getting your finances together. When you're trying to get out of debt, you have to determine what you think is a sacrifice worth making versus what's just suffering and not even worth it. When my husband and I got married, he had a roommate. So we sat down and said, hey, do we want to continue renting out this room or not? And we decided that that was a sacrifice, our privacy, that we were willing to make because we knew it would bring in an extra $800 every month. And that was worth it to us. Now, for some people, that might be considered suffering, and that is a-okay. Because an even better move would have been to, say, if our family lived nearby, go live in, let's say, my mama's house for free and save all that money. But guess what? That's in my suffering category. I ain't about to be at my mama's house. So a couple other sacrifices that we decided to make. We didn't really buy clothes, neither of us. It was like, you cute in them gym pants. We also didn't buy new cars. Both of our cars were paid off and over 5 years old, and we kept that. We also decided not to celebrate any holidays but our birthdays. So that meant we didn't go splurge on Valentine's Day, our anniversary, Christmas, all that gift spending. At the end of the day, it's still coming from our pockets, and we decided not to. Those were sacrifices that we were willing to make. And then on the other hand, we decided there were some sacrifices that we considered suffering, and we would not make those decisions. For example, we decided our restaurant budget is going to stay exorbitant. We love to go out to eat, okay? And that's what we considered our date night. So even though we were paying down our debt, we still went out to eat regularly, multiple times a week, because maybe I hate cooking, so it wasn't about to be me. Also, our slush funds. We decided that having an individual account with our own money was not something that we were willing to sacrifice. That would be suffering. So we kept giving ourselves a little allowance to have some fun every month. And then we also made sure that we still continue to go on vacations and go on trips to spend time with our friends. Because if we can't spend time with the people that we love, especially our family and our friends for those special occasions like weddings and holidays, that's suffering. And we weren't willing to do that. So it's really a very personal decision, but make sure that your debt payoff journey isn't miserable by figuring out what is sacrifices that are worth it versus suffering. And we're not going to do that. We got to enjoy the journey.
Personal finance is personal, so it just depends on how much you are willing to sacrifice. The more sacrifices you make, the faster you pay off your debt. The less sacrifices you make, slowly going to pay off your debt. So it's really up to you.
Can we talk about shame and guilt that comes with debt and having credit card debt specifically? I feel like nobody really talks about this part of it. In fact, there are a lot of people that just don't even talk about their credit card debt at all because they are so ashamed and guilty of how they've gotten there. And that's part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I really want to normalize it, not necessarily normalize having credit card debt, but provide a support system for people out there who are struggling just like we are. I know for me personally, I grew up in a culture that was really marred with fear and shame and guilt. A lot of decisions that I made, even in my childhood, were made out of fear, shame, and guilt. And so that carries on with me into adulthood. And I know that is definitely a part of why I struggle so much with talking about my journey and how I got into credit card debt and how I'm now getting out of it. Just know that if you are somebody that is struggling right now and maybe you have credit card debt and maybe you have either not started at all with tackling it or you just are not even, maybe you're in denial about it, that this is a safe place for you. And I'd love for you to give me a follow so that we can support and encourage one another on our journey.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.